Hello, everyone, and welcome back to EiEi Podcast, our weekly Monkey Ball podcast. As everybody knows, we upload very often here. All right, so today we're talking about Banana Rumble, the game that came out 2 weeks ago, as we all know, right? Came out 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, sure.
I haven't looked at my calendar in a while, so I'm sure I'm correct. That's just fine. Anyway, I don't know, Jeff. I guess you lead us with your.
Well, I was ahead of the curve, and I made a video on this before everyone else. So go watch the video, and everyone click off the podcast. No, I'm just kidding.
All right, that's the end. We did it, guys.
All right, see y'all next time.
Let's go.
No, okay. But seriously, so Super Monkey Ball Banana Rumble obviously came out last year at June 23rd, I think. Actually, haven't looked it up since.
Sounds correct. Sounds vaguely correct.
Hey, if Jeff thinks it's correct, we're good.
Yeah.
But obviously, we intended to record a podcast on that, but obviously it did not happen. So today we're here to discuss the game a year later. So, what is everybody's general opinions on the game before we get into the nitty gritty, I guess? Actually, wait, I need to introduce all the members. I forgot.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
so
we should
true.
probably introduce.
Oopsie. Why am I talking like this? Hey guys, I'm Ninja Star Compass, and today we're talking about Banana Rumble. Not but yeah, I'm Ninja Star Compass. I own this podcast. Technically, I don't know why I worded it like that. Yeah, I own this podcast. Call you. It's my podcast. But yeah, so that's me. I assume everybody that watches this knows who I am. So I guess who's next?
My name is Greg Cubed. I'm a 10% stakeholder owner in the podcast, not to flex. And also, I am a YouTuber, which hopefully is not too cringe. It's a little cringe, I know.
I am Jeff Compass. I have made many a Monkey Ball videos in my day, including one on this very game, but also ones from like 10 years ago when I talked about Banana Blitz and how it led to the series decline, and we're still in that era. What? Sorry.
Oh, decline? Whoa. There's no decline in Monkey Ball.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah. I said in my Rumble video I wasn't going to talk about Monkey Ball on YouTube anymore, and here today I am talking about Monkey Ball on YouTube. So, hello.
This doesn't count.
Yeah.
We all know.
No, it counts.
Yep, my name is William. I've been on a couple podcasts now. You know, I'm working with Johnny or just helping out with some channels here and there, but, you know.
All right, I'm Beckett from Mars Sluggers Fan Club, formerly known as Switchmaster. You can find me on Mars Sluggers Fan Club, Super Mario Fan Club, and this is my first appearance on the EiEi Podcast, so I'm super excited, and my ownership in this podcast is private, my percentage, so...
It's 90%.
I think we wanted you on 6 years ago. Like, I think you were like one of the first guests, and I think we discussed having you on a few times. It just never happened.
Wait,
so.
I've been on this?
No, we
God.
wanted you on the podcast before.
I asked you like 3 times.
Oh,
You said no every
okay.
time.
Sorry.
Dude, Beckett with the private equity.
Yeah, I do have some.
So when it comes to Banana Rumble, I guess how we should start is that we should talk about our expectations going in. Because obviously we just came off the back of Banana Blitz HD and Banana Mania, the 2 remakes that were trying to revive Super Monkey Ball. And then this is obviously the new game. Should we do it after it was announced? I think that would make the most sense. Like after it was first announced in the Nintendo Direct in February of 2024, what were your initial impressions based on that trailer?
I was actually very positive towards it. You could like probably go back and find like posts or whatever where I'm just like, it looked like it actually had good levels. The backgrounds were very vivid. There were some problems I had with it, like the new character designs, but generally speaking, I was pretty positive about it.
Yeah, I won't lie. I was ahead on the curve on hating this game. Pretty much from the moment the trailer dropped, I was like, yeah, this ain't for me. I didn't like the new character designs and how they made, especially EiEi, just look like a toddler for some reason. The level designs did look better, you know, and I think like as we saw more gameplay that first day, you know, things kind of, I was like, oh, you know, maybe, you know, it won't be exactly what I want out of this franchise, but it could be, you know, return to form. Yeah, once we started finding out there was no lives or challenge mode or anything, I was like, okay, yeah, this is a lost cause.
We'll get to that.
We'll get to that, but...
Yeah, I remember definitely coming off the heels of playing Banana Mania, you know, watching the Rumble trailer. It definitely just looked like a across-the-board improvement. You know, it's hard to tell the the physics based on the trailer, but the physics looked pretty good. The level design in general, there's some really inspired things, and the backgrounds were pretty cool. And seeing the potential of mini games, I was very excited about, but that didn't quite come to fruition as I had hoped.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. I would say for me, like when the trailer first dropped, we were getting out of that whole 2020 like time slug thing still. So for me, I was like, oh, we're already on to another Monkey Ball game. I wasn't expecting that. I'd still,
Yeah, I was shocked about that.
yeah, like Banana Mania already like hardly had any post-launch support, but I still felt like we were in that era. So I was like, oh, okay.
Well, for me, this is kind of off podcast, so anyone who only listens to us for the podcast probably won't notice, but like my opinion on Banana Mania has changed a little over the years, if you know me personally.
Mhm.
Like, for example, in the time since we talked about it last, Greg made his video that I helped him with, completely tearing down Banana Mania because and how bad it is as a remake. And then obviously Jeff made his video on Rumble, but we'll get to that. So
Yeah, I mean, as you can tell from what Ninja said, my opinion changed quite a bit as well. I was like kind of positive on Mania when it came out, but after like a few weeks, I the cracks really kind of showed themselves.
yeah, so as everyone else that's in this call, maybe not everyone else, but most people in this call would know, I said one sentence after I saw a trailer, and it was literally, "This is the worst thing I've ever seen with my eyeballs." That's the exact thing I typed.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Because I was listening to it at my job, and the first thing I saw was the cover art, which the cover art, in my opinion, personal opinion, is really bad.
No, that was super validating when you said that in the chat, to be honest, because I had the same first impression where I was like, ew, and then everyone else seemed to be popping off, and I was like, am I crazy? No, it's the kids who are wrong,
But whatever. Okay, we watched the trailer. There are some positive things in it. Like, obviously, we already mentioned it. That some of the level design looked like the classics, which is cool because we're so used to seeing the Banana Blitz like guardrail garbage. So it's like, okay, finally, a proper Monkey Ball game. Maybe they're learning from Banana Mania being a remake of 1 and 2. So maybe they're trying to finally take at least the gameplay of the series back to basics. Because like, okay, whatever. The aesthetic, I'm not a fan of it. We'll get to that, but I'm not a fan of it. It looks gross. But okay, maybe the gameplay will be fine. But then there were two main things about this trailer that gave me pause. The first thing is the Spindash, which I think we'll get to later, maybe, unless we'll talk about it right now. But the second thing, the thing that I want to rant about, because this is pre-release, is that we saw that they were going to make a SEGA pack of 6 SEGA characters, which the DLC in Banana Mania was already pretty shameless as is. But I don't know. Sorry, I'm trying to collect my thoughts here. If anyone wants to start ranting about the SEGA pack, be my guest. I will go ahead.
So I just had 2 quick things to say real quick before we move on. Now, I haven't watched the Banana Mania podcast since, but I remember I feel like I was pretty critical of the game right off the bat just because of its control. And I kind of wanted to be nice about it, but I thought that the game controlled pretty horribly and I wasn't happy with it. So when the Banana Rumble trailer came out, I was thinking like, I'm just hoping that they really tighten up the controls. If they keep the level design fairly consistent with, classic Monkey Ball, then I'm going to be happy about it. But based on the trailer, there wasn't too much for me to really garner from it. So I was just like, to me, I don't know, I was kind of neutral on it. I didn't feel any strong opinions. I was just hoping that they were going to basically fix my control gripes with Banana Mania.
Yeah, because when I had a pretty strong honeymoon phase with Banana Mania, because when it first came out, like everyone wanted it to be so good, so we all just kind of like collectively just said it was good with like no critical anything. It's like, oh, it's not as good as 1 and 2, but it's still pretty good. So,
Yeah.
So I was wanting to like excuse these weird jank controls and just try to have some classic Monkey Ball fun. But the problem with Banana Mania is that, well, I guess we'll get to that later, but basically it stripped out everything from the classic games that made it like interesting. Like the live system is gone, so classic mode didn't really have much of a purpose because that was the whole point of classic mode was to advance through it, while losing lives. So you have to get good in order to not lose all your lives before the end of it to get like unlockables and stuff. And one of the main things about Banana Rumble in that trailer was that in the UI there was no lives counter. So that was another thing that really like worried me. I was like, uh-oh.
Yeah, that you see that's going to be a running theme, and to me a huge part of like things to take away from Banana Rumble is like comparing it to Banana Mania so much. is that I feel like I wanted Rumble to correct the issues from Banana Mania that I had with it. I wanted, going into launch, I was hoping that the game would be, what I wanted out of Banana Mania, I guess. Like, okay, they finally remade their second Monkey Ball game in a row now. I think they're pretty familiar with the tools to make a Monkey Ball game from scratch. How are they going to handle it,
Yeah, I agree. So I guess overall, the kind of segue to segment, the things that Banana Rumble, in my opinion, kind of promised from that trailer was one, there was going to be some kind of return of classic Monkey Ball in some form, whether it be through the newly added story mode, because it was obviously cutscenes, so it was like, oh, it's going to be a brand new story mode. That's so cool. And then it was even like Bad Boon was in one of the trailer shots. Like, whoa, is Bad Boon going to be in the game somewhere? That's crazy. And then the next thing was obviously the gameplay is going to be closer to the originals because there's no guardrails, at least none that we could see. There was like some levels that had
yeah, none that we could see.
Really classic looking design. It was free to Spindash. Spindash, we'll get to it, but we should expect levels that cleverly use the Spindash to challenge the player in some way. Or maybe like, make it like some cool, weird like skipping tool or something to add some challenge and reward to the gameplay. And then number 4 was that SEGA character pass. We expect 6 interesting character picks from SEGA because obviously if you're going to be charging money for it, this should be good. It was like, what, $20 if I remember correctly?
I think it was 25.
Something crazy like that.
Yeah, which was a major issue that we had with Banana Mania, was that it had these DLC characters that didn't add any sound effects, didn't add anything really interesting. They were just basically character skins for like $6 or $5 or something. So they're hoping, okay, if they're going to charge for these, hopefully they better either be some deep cut SEGA picks.
No, that wouldn't even.
Well, yeah. I don't like it either way, but I'm saying if they're going to charge money for it, they're going to make it a paid add-on, which was the only paid add-on, because if you get the digital deluxe edition, that's all you got. So we'd at least expect something good.
Yeah, and the characters they picked weren't even like bad. It was just like you had Pac-Man, you had like like the anime character name I forgot. Like there was good Godzilla. Like there were good picks. Well, the problem was in Banana Mania, you had some of those skins and they were already just in the game. And actually, I've seen like even the people who are most pro Monkey Ball in the world, I actually saw like some criticism like in general, like by Monkey Ball, like hardcore fans as well for that. Like I don't think it made anyone happy personally. At least I can't like remember anyone like actually supporting that.
Well, the next point I was gonna bring up is that after that first trailer, with the game was coming out, what, it was like 3 months after that trailer, if I remember correctly.
I think 4, because it was February to June, right?
Yeah,
yeah, it's February to June. So with Banana Mania, the promotional cycle for Banana Mania was very much ingrained with the fans. Like the social media account would constantly reference games like Adventure and like all these little fun facts about the series. They would comment on videos made by fans and stuff like that. Like there's very much a welcoming community. There was the cooking with EiEi. Like there's just a lot of Monkey Ball everything.
I was gonna bring that up, yeah.
It was a very good promotional cycle for a bunch of like goofy stuff. So with Rumble, what we got was basically nothing. We got basically nothing at all.
Yeah, it was like, I think like the first month after that trailer came out, it was just like radio silence,
It was just post restating information that was already in that first trailer. Like it was basically just filler. Like there was nothing at all.
Yeah, it was just clips from the trailer, like repurposed in like 15-second chunks, more or less.
I saw even fans of the series getting like really hypercritical about that too.
Well, yeah, because if you look at Banana Mania, it had like a super active like marketing scene was the big difference. Like we think that the social media manager might have changed, or like SEGA just made some like cuts somewhere, but like either way, I think it was kind of noticeable. It was super noticeable in my opinion.
Yeah, so like even going from trailer to release, like my expectations for this game just like dropped like a rock. I was like, oh, does SEGA even care about Monkey Ball? Because they don't seem to be promoting a game that's coming out in like 2 seconds. Like I also forgot it was coming out a couple times.
Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah, it definitely did kind of give a vibe of like insecurity almost. Like I don't know, it maybe was unintentional, but
during that fantastic promotional cycle, one of the first things we heard about with Banana Rumble was that in the brand new SEGA Pass, they're adding Sonic and Tails to it, and Knuckles and Amy. So out of that 6 character pass, 4 of them are just random Sonic characters, 2 of which being directly reused from Banana Mania, and were free, by the way.
And weren't they free? Yeah, they were free in Banana Mania.
Yeah, they were.
So that's a very good foot to start off with. Thank you guys. And people were obviously not happy about it. I wasn't happy about it. I thought it was stupid. I'm like, oh great, is there gonna be any non-Monkey Ball characters in the game? I guess we'll find out. There were not any at launch.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand the another thing too when they first announced it is that like I get it, but also I thought that the decision to be a Switch exclusive was a bit unexpected for me, seeing as Banana Mania was like is on like every platform available.
Yeah, I disagreed with that decision.
Yeah, dude, have they ever said why they did that? Because
No.
it just kind of seemed like they were shooting themselves in the foot.
I really don't understand why they did that. Like, I'm sure we'll talk about the sales of this game at some point, but it's like, you know,
Oh, we will.
PS4 has like what 120 million like PS4s out in the world, something like that. Like, I'm not saying it would have like taken the world by storm, but
And now it's
Well,
still
it might
not
be.
on any other platform.
at the time we're recording this, like there probably still are in the exclusivity deal. Is my guess. So if there's some, they might port it. I could even see it coming to like Switch 2 maybe, or Apple Arcade. But yeah, like we'll find out soon. That's to be determined, I think.
Well, the thing is, like, I get making it on Switch, right? Because Switch, Monkey Ball Banana Mania, Monkey Ball Banana HD, it probably sold the best on Switch. But it's like, why not PC at least? Like, why not at least PC? Or even
That's what I
Well,
was gonna play it
PC,
on.
I guess,
I was gonna
to be
play it on
honest with you.
PC if it was ever gonna come to it, but
which is funny considering that the digital deluxe version, when they first posted it, had keyboard icons. So maybe there's a PC version coming in June.
Oh no.
oh really? I don't think I knew about that.
I think there is.
Yeah, so maybe in June we'll see a port to PC, but for now we don't know. But either way, that's all irrelevant. So June 23rd happens. The game drops.
It dropped all right.
I don't know where to begin this with. I don't know where to begin. Should we start with like the controls or something, or should we start with the story mode? Like,
Probably start with like kind of like first impressions, I guess. I mean,
Well, I did play a good amount of it right away, I'll say. For me, it and this links into the, you know, a broader point, but
Yeah.
I was going through the levels extremely quickly, and they're not all easy levels. You know, the difficulty's pretty decent, but you know, we'll get into this. No challenge mode, no lives, so you could just beat a level and you're done. And I didn't even know about the achievements for the, you know, each level has a banana count and a time limit, as well as a golden banana to collect. I wasn't doing any of that. I was in pure classic Monkey Ball mode, just doing my best to, you know, and tried these shortcuts to beat these levels one time. And it really was fun, but it felt very empty. And so I was just speeding through these levels. And it got a lot better, though, when I started 100%ing each level and getting all, you know, the golden banana. And like that's where the challenge and replayability really came in for me. Still, you're not replaying the levels, it's empty.
that was pretty much exactly why I kind of skipped out on getting it, partially because of finances, but also like I could have stretched to afford it, but I was just thinking like I'm gonna beat all of these levels in like a weekend or a couple of days and then never touch this game again. Like if there's no like challenge mode or lives, there's just no reason to like replay it, which is like the biggest thing 1 and 2 have going for it. Like you can just play that for decades.
I never realized how much of a factor that was, like in the challenge mode in my enjoyment.
It's like the whole point.
The issue is if you look at Monkey Ball 1 and 2's levels on their own, honestly, not if you just played them once, I don't think they would be that memorable. The issue is like the reason that we know all the levels and we care about all the levels is because we've done them hundreds of times in challenge modes. So honestly, like I'll play Banana Rumble once in a while and I'll still like be like, oh, I don't remember this level at all in the first like world of the game, and that's a huge problem in my opinion.
I had that issue with Mario Wonder too. I didn't realize it at the time, but now I know. It's the original Mario Bros. 1 was so successful because you would die in a world, you had to replay the levels. It's sort of the arcade feel, and now Mario Wonder, there's no lives, there's no losing progress, and it's nice because losing progress, you know, kind of sucks, but it's like it's sort of a cheap add-on to the game where you're not having to go replay. Even like the new Super Mario Bros. Games, you had to replay some stuff occasionally, and that was valuable, I think.
You can even make that argument about like Sonic Superstars, and like yeah, we're getting a little off topic, but it's like I think it's important to discuss like this game design philosophy because it does take over the entire industry nowadays. Same with like Pikmin 4. Like the games are just supposed to be like easy now, and like no one ever really cares about like that. No developers really try to make it so like the player gets punished anymore. And I think it's a huge detriment to the entire industry.
Yeah, it's like the thing is like it depends on So like for some games, right? Like if you're developing a game like Crash Bandicoot 4, where it's being developed from the ground up with like the idea of we're not going to have lives in this game, you know, they built the game in a way to still punish the player without lives. Like, you know, you have to get there's a certain collectible you have to get by beating each level with, you know, in under 3 deaths, basically. But, you know, with something like Monkey Ball, like its DNA is literally baked into that sort of arcade format. And when you rip the life system out of that, it just completely like implodes on itself. And you can see this like with a lot of like things that Sega like the Sonic Origins collection. They took all the lives out of the classic Sonic games in very similar situation. Like it turns games like Sonic 1 and 2 into an experience where you brute force your way through in like 45 minutes and then never play it again.
So I guess we're on the topic of story mode. So while we're there,
I think we're on the topic of lives right now, and I think there's a lot to discuss with that, to be honest with you.
well, the point I was gonna make is that theoretically, Super Monkey Ball Banana Rumble should be a fantastic Monkey Ball game because it has 200 levels. It says 200 plus, I think, in the trailer. I need to rewatch that, but the point is, it has 200 floors, which is the most amount of new floors in any Monkey Ball game. So theoretically, that should be a great thing, but because of the system that they set up, which is no replayability, like we said, you play through all these 200 levels, and then like that's it. There's like no reason to replay them, so they end up being significantly less memorable than any other game in the franchise, which is like bizarre to me, at least.
Yeah, the lack of that replayability. It's like I'm not gonna go back through and manually select like a world, and then I just want to marathon them all and then see how far I can get. You know, that's why Monkey Ball 1 is my favorite one.
Same. Like, yeah, there's like achievements too. You could argue like, oh, there's achievements, there's replayability in the story mode or whatever. But like even that is like, you know, you might have to replay the levels like a couple extra times, but there's only so many achievements, and once you get those, then there's literally nothing else to do compared to like Monkey Ball 1, where, you know, 20 years later, I'm still going back to it and playing it, even though I've beaten it.
I was gonna say, because the thing is, Monkey Ball 2 had a story mode, right? And it kind of is the same way it is here, where you need to brute force your way through all the levels to win. You know, the structure was better, but we do it for now. The point being, achievements like that could have been added to even like a game like Super Monkey Ball 2. Like, let's say they let you replay the levels after you beat them in order to get these like time achievements. That system on its own is not a replacement for a challenge mode, really. Like, it's more of like a cute extra.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the same thing as saying like, oh, I played through, like, it's like saying some like random PlayStation game. Like, let's say The Last of Us. Let's say The Last of Us is the most replayable game ever made because there's achievements on PlayStation that if you can beat the game without throwing like X collectible or something, you can replay it. It's like, yeah, that's not the same thing. That's the game. That's entirely an optional objective. Like, what do you get for clearing any of those achievements in the Banana Rumble story mode?
Actually, that's a good question.
You get to build the tree, the banana tree. You can feed it. That's the most fun I've had with this game. Okay, it's not true, but it's cool.
Can't you do that also just by playing the online mode to get play points that way?
But that would require you to suffer through the online mode.
Or just beating the levels anyway. Like, you don't get something unique with those things other than just a kind of cool like completion thing.
Yeah, because the thing about, so in most Super Monkey Ball games, you get some kind of award for like being good at the game. Like, you know, in challenge mode, obviously it's beating like any of the challenge modes without using a continue or an extra life in one or whatever. But even like in a game like Banana Blitz, to unlock the extra worlds, you had to beat all the worlds without using a continue. So there was still kind of like a bit of that Monkey Ball gameplay. It's not great, but it's still kind of there. Like, you still have to actually challenge yourself in order to get like World 9 and 10. But in Banana Rumble, the way to unlock World 10 EX is to beat World 10. That's it. There's like no extra requirements.
Yeah.
Yeah, and at that point, it's like, why even like separate them as like extra worlds? Like, why not just have 20 worlds at that point, I guess?
Like, actually, the unlockable achievements and stuff would have been a lot more valuable if you unlocked the EX world by clearing all of those in the original worlds. That actually almost have like a Monkey Ball sense of replayability to it.
Yeah, it's like they're afraid of like having that replayability in there because it's like such an easy solution. Or even just having challenge mode in there would take like no extra work. Like, you don't have to design any extra stages or anything. Like, you just make a mode.
That's what I don't understand about this whole issue, and honestly, this is like my biggest problem. I don't understand why they can't just add a challenge mode. No one has given me any valid reason. If you want to talk about like marketing or whatever, I don't really care if like the audience is like, you know, they write in their pitch meeting that we want to sell this game to 6-year-olds. Like, I don't really care. I don't see that as a valid reason. Even if that was the case, right? Even if they said specifically, we want to just, you know, target people who don't care about video games or whatever. Why not just add a challenge mode for like the, you know, the people who like grew up with this game? It would be so easy, and you know, we'll talk about it later on, but we know they're capable of doing it. So it's like, I don't get why. I don't know if it's just a vision thing. I don't know if it's just an arrogance thing, which is like, I think what I said in my video, that I think it's just like an arrogance, like, oh, we want Monkey Ball in our vision sort of thing. I don't get it, because it would make everyone happy, in my opinion. Like, there would be no complaining from us. We might not even be doing this podcast then, if to be completely honest.
Or it would be more positive.
Like I said multiple times, like if the game, like I have an issue with like the aesthetics and the Banana Blitz music style they're still using and sound effects and everything, but like I could put all of that aside and I probably would have gotten the game if it had a challenge mode with like a decent score and life system, but it doesn't. So like, what are we doing?
This game would have been really good if it had that. To be completely honest with you, that might be my like spoiler alert. I think this game would actually be like solid if it had a challenge mode. I do.
Because the thing is, like, even my casual playthrough of story mode was, like, okay. But, like, it could have been so much better if, like I said, they added some reward for putting in the extra effort, which is something that Monkey Ball was literally all about design-wise.
It's literally baked into the DNA of, like, this series formula.
And like I said, like, even Banana Blitz did that better with the World 9 and 10 unlock. It's like, the fact that they have nothing at all that rewards you for going the extra mile is very anti-Monkey Ball, and it's very strange. Like, challenge mode or not, the thing I suggested earlier about the extra worlds would still be like so much better. I'd feel so much more rewarded by beating story mode if that was like even remotely a thing.
I'll add one last point, I guess, about the difficulty, and it's one of my two main praises of this game. I feel like I'm probably the only one here that has gotten all the achievements in all the levels. I also beat the newest, like, insanely hard levels that, you know, the free DLC. Those didn't have achievements, but they're still insanely hard. And the difficulty of some of the levels of this game is easily as high. I think this is has some of the hardest levels in any Monkey Ball game, and it can do that because you don't have to play them all in succession. And so that's one cool thing that this format offers, is having levels that are harder than Monkey Ball 1 Master, because you can just keep replaying them and replaying them, and you don't need to do it in a row. And so I've had a ton of fun grinding like some of these levels for like honestly almost an hour or more for some of the tougher ones. And I really do like the difficulty ramps up in the second half, especially of the first 100 worlds and worlds 6 through 10. The difficulty and the level design really start to get solid, and the extra stages are even better. Then you get the super difficult add-ons. Obviously, those are beyond enjoyable, I think, for some of them, and bordering on insanely frustrating. But that's the most fun I've had in this game with these levels. And some of the levels, also the achievements are super like brutal, and getting that replayability there, those are the memorable levels, you know, the ones I had to try again to especially get the time bonuses and the banana count. Some of those are legitimately tough.
That's why I suggested having the EX levels require some kind of, like, you know, beating all of the achievements in the level, because that way, you know, your casual player can still play through Worlds 1 and 10 and have like their normal Banana Rumble playthrough. It's like, oh, that's all right. You know, you see through the story of the game, boom, good job, wow. And then obviously for the more dedicated players,
yeah, the levels should prepare you for the future ones. Like, you should have to, like, I was able to do those because I've played a ton of Monkey Ball in my life. But some players will just get there and they'll be like, okay, I haven't played enough of this game. Haven't mastered the physics enough to be good enough at this. I just have to grind this for a long time.
Yeah, which is like that's why even like the smallest changes would add so much, in my opinion. Like, for example, that super duper hard mode could still exist because that could just be like a side mode or something, like one of like the EX modes from Banana Mania or something, since it is obviously kind of in its own category.
Here's the thing. Monkey Ball 2 had a really interesting game design philosophy, which is like, we're going to do both. We're going to do both of these things. They had story mode with a unique world at the end, and like you could, you know, grind out these levels, and really, if you didn't want to deal with challenge mode, that was the place to go. Like, that was the place to practice. That was like the place where you could, like, you know, sharpen your skills a little bit more if you wanted to, like, see what's possible in these levels. But like here, you just, I don't know, you're just forced to do one mode, and that's really the issue.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, because like for me, if it had both like the unlockable extra worlds and a challenge mode, I think it would have been the best of both worlds, because that's both types of Monkey Ball design, whatever, in one game. I think would have added a lot.
Yeah, it is really odd that they just had this design philosophy that would please everybody, and then they just haven't done anything with it. Like, okay.
Like, honestly, in my opinion, if they had Like, let's say it still had the regular worlds and the EX worlds in story mode, but that super duper hard difficulty was actually like master or something, and you had to beat the challenge mode of the game or something to unlock it. That would have been like super rewarding, I think.
When's the last time they had a challenge mode? You said it was
Banana Splits on the Vita in 2012. Unless you count Banana Mania's challenge mode, which I do not count at all. But challenge mode, schmallenge mode, whatever. Let's say developers think the challenge mode sucks. What is their excuse for removing the challenge mode? That would be the Spindash. So I think we should discuss that now.
how does that relate?
Yeah, I don't know if I would say that's why.
Yeah, I'm a little confused too, but
Well, because their excuse for not having a challenge mode would be that the endlessly replayable, like, no live system gameplay would be centered around using the spin dash to speedrun through levels instead. Like, that's that's the sense of replayability and frustration.
It's more risky and use shortcuts and stuff. You can experiment more in those levels.
Yeah.
I'll start off by saying the spin dash is so much better than jumping.
That's
and
true.
that is my other main praise of this game. I really do love the spin dash because Monkey Ball's at its best when you're going horizontally and not vertically. And when you can jump, then you are just jumping up and down on these platforms. It's honestly a mess, and most of Banana Rumble is focused on going horizontally, and that's really where I think Monkey Ball shines. And so I think for what it is in this context, the spin dash is incredibly fun.
Here's my problem, right? I agree the spin dash is better than jumping. That's fine and good. Look, nothing against Monkey Ball speedrunning. I actually know a lot of the speedrunners, and like I respect them, but it's like it's to me, Monkey Ball, SEGA likes to act like Monkey Ball, the main reason people play it is speedrunning. Like, their whole marketing approach is like, yeah, you could replay all these levels, you could speedrun them. If you really look at, like, there's really not a lot of people speedrunning Monkey Ball games, to be honest with you. It's a relatively small amount. My point is, it's not like, I do respect them all, but it's like, my point is, it's really not what Monkey Ball is. And to me,
no, it's more about precision.
Yeah, like, my point is, like, if you look up like World 4, you could do individual, like, or World 14. Like, literally 2 weeks after launch, me and Ninja looked at, like, the IWs in this game, the individual worlds, and like not even 100 people had done like some of the late worlds. Like, so to me, it's not
Even like World 7 didn't even have like 100 people that did time attack yet, like a month after launch. It was
yeah, and I'm not saying this to like make, I respect Monkey Ball speedrunning quite a bit. I think it's really cool. I think it's hard, and I respect all the runners, but like I think even they would agree that like Monkey Ball was not built around this game design philosophy. And so to me, it's not like even that. It's just Monkey Ball doesn't need a spin dash. Monkey Ball doesn't need any gimmicks. If you look at 1 and 2, right, like there's nothing, and it works totally fine. So like, yeah, I agree it's better than the jumping. I just don't know if it's needed, period, is my argument.
Yeah, I agree too. Like, I think of all the gimmicks Monkey Ball's had, this is probably the one that makes the most sense, but it's still a gimmick, and it's still like, why is this here? And like, for me, like, especially, like, this is kind of like petty, and I've said this before, but like, it definitely feels kind of desperate that they just took like Sonic's most popular move and just put it in Monkey Ball to like market it towards Sonic fans. It's like, hey guys, look, Sonic's Spin Dash is in this game. Monkey Ball is like Sonic's cousin franchise. Guys, buy it. Sonic fans, please buy this. Like, it just feels very opaquely desperate to me.
Yeah, 2 things. Like, I don't know. I think it is really cool that they're playing into the speedrunning side of things, because that really is like a big part of what the general public know Monkey Ball is. So that's probably why SEGA also thinks of it that way. Because they're like, oh, Monkey Ball, like, everyone knows it as like the speedrunners game that like comes up at all these like events and whatnot. So they're probably trying to tap into that, which is cool. I think that the way that they could do it would be basically what everyone is saying, which is, yeah, just give us a challenge mode, but also give us like the story mode, like Monkey Ball 2. Like, I'm pretty into speedrunning communities. Like, I don't really partake because I'm not that good, but I don't know. I kind of think it's cool the way that they're doing that, but I kind of wish that their focus was a bit broader.
Yeah, because like 1 and 2 weren't like designed for speedrunners in mind, but like a byproduct of how they were designed was, that they developed like a speedrunner community.
They were designed to be tight, fast, arcadey games, so it just kind of worked out that way. And I think Sega deliberately trying to be a speedrunners game kind of missed the mark.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's like when like an old band like tries to purposely recapture the magic of their early albums and just comes off like you know, like almost like sound like a parody of themselves. It's kind of like a similar thing. Like they're trying so hard to like get that speedrunner
Greg, are you
audience,
talking
and
about Maroon 5?
a little bit? No.
It's kind of like when the Offspring makes a new album and like one of their songs just sounds like exactly like one of their old songs, just like remade, which they've done twice now.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
It was kind of a bad example, I guess, but I guess what I was trying to get at is like, yeah, when they're trying to like develop the game like for speedrunners, it ends up making it less attractive for like the first two games. Like it developed a speedrun audience by accident, basically, and when you try to recapture that, it's just like it just doesn't work, I guess.
I would agree. I just think that you know, I really do respect that you know, they're recognizing that. I just think that it's one of those things where all we can do is give our constructive feedback and hope for the third game in a row that SEGA listens to it.
Really, here's the thing too. Like, here's the thing. If there was a challenge mode, literally, we would not even be talking about this. Like, I'm gonna tie back basically everything to that, because really, like, I would be totally fine if the playstyle that we want was represented. I could care less what SEGA adds to the game, to be completely honest with you. Like, you could have an easy mode, you could have speedrunning mode, that's fine. But why is the playstyle that we fell in love with the games for being neglected? I think that's really the question. Like, I'm gonna tie it back to challenge mode throughout this, just because that's really my biggest issue with this game.
Yeah,
I don't really have that many other issues with this game, to be honest with you.
It's like that with like everything too. Like they're so obsessed with like the banana blitz like mentality, just with the game design and like the aesthetics and the music and the sound effects, and like nobody is like a fan of Monkey Ball for like that. I don't think, or very few people are.
What I'm making my way towards as well is the like spin dash, the way that, because I think the spin dash is pretty satisfying. It's kind of cool. I'm definitely on the more pure side where I've always liked the insane simplicity of Monkey Ball, but I'm like, you know, spin dash is kind of a cool mechanic. I'm a little iffy on it in the sense that, like, I don't know if SEGA will be able to let go of it now. Like, is every Monkey Ball game going to rely on the spin mechanic from here on out?
That would be bad. With old Monkey Ball games, the way they were designed was that the games had extremely tight and precise controls, which allowed you to do like these insanely like narrow little like thin ledges and stuff. So that they would design levels with that in mind. Like there are levels we need to go across these little skinny tiny little wires. There are levels we need to like dodge things. Like there's a lot of stuff like that. But with Banana Rumble, because they're still using that Banana Blitz engine, like sure, they finally figured out what a square dead zone is finally, thank God, but the controls are still those weird, like slippery, imprecise Banana Blitz controls. So they realized at some point in development that they couldn't make the very tight, precise levels from 1 or 2 again. So I think the Spindash is kind of their way of trying to address that. Like, okay, we can't have Monkey Ball 1 style levels, so let's try to do something weird and new. That kind of lead into the fact that like, okay, we can't make this work, so let's just make it speedrunning focused. So okay, you don't want to go across these levels with Banana Blitz controls, let's tell you to skip through them instead, which is like fine. The problem is a lot of time the levels feel designed in a way to kind of force you to skip them. Like there's a lot of levels where they just drag on forever. They're like the most boring levels ever. If you've ever tried to play the game Spindash list, you'll realize how many levels are just like these giant winding paths or like purposely waste your time just so your brain is like, oh, I want to Spindash past this because this is the worst level I've ever seen in the series.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was gonna say, is that you think about Monkey Ball 1 and 2, and it's exhilarating to find skips because it's like, whoa, I almost feel like in a way I'm like, obviously it's not breaking the rules, but I'm figuring out like ways to kind of bend the game to my needs, where you do the spin dash to do some level skip in Banana Rumble, and it's not really to find some new method of doing it, it's more to just get the level over with. It's like, yeah, I'm doing it faster because I want to just move on.
Yeah, because like the thing is in Monkey Ball 1,
Sorry,
I was gonna say in Monkey Ball 1, there are levels where the game kind of tries to like hint and nudge you towards doing skips. For example, Force Point and Expert. The goal is to like go around this thin little wire and go down like the slanted platform with holes in it. But they purposefully spawn you like facing perpendicular to it, and then there's like a giant little skinny platform you have to go down in order to start going down that slope with the holes in it. So in your brain, you want to like go and bounce off of it into the goal. Like there's a lot of stuff like that in Monkey Ball 1.
Right.
And with Banana Rumble, it's kind of like that, except instead it's the longest level ever. So it's like you don't really have many options. It doesn't feel like a secret that you found because you're a good player. It just feels like, oh, the game wants me to skip it.
Yeah,
almost
it's not
kinda
very
like
much
how,
like
in
creative.
Yeah, it's almost like how when they added the boost in Sonic, like it's not as rewarding hitting top speed as it is like in the adventure games or it's in the 2D games where you have to like actually earn that. Similar kind of vibe I get. Maybe I'm just crazy though, I don't know.
Well, for me, it's the thing is not even that I think the spin dash is like a terrible mechanic on its own. Now, granted, I think it should be optional. I think the game should still be fun without the spin dash and maybe have it be like a side mode, kind of like how the jump was optional in Banana Mania. Like, oh, here's the optional. Like, maybe make it like the normal game doesn't have it, or maybe there's like a non-spin dash side mode or something for the
Yeah.
classic fans. So like the levels are still good without it. Just if you have it, it's something to be played around with. But they didn't do that, obviously.
Again, it really just ties everything back to like the classic fans are just being like neglected with this franchise. I don't know why. That's kind of my issue.
That's true. Well, the thing is, I say that because there are levels in Banana Rumble that use the spin dash in interesting ways, but there's so few. Like, I think they're actually some of the more interesting levels in the game. Are the ones where you're like forced to actually use the spin dash for a mechanic that it feels like it's built for. Like, for example, there's a level in World 8, I believe it's regular World 8, where there's like these seesaws, and you have to go on the seesaw to lower it to create a ramp to then boost over it to the next section of the level. Like, that's interesting level design. But there's so few levels that feel built around the spin dash in that way. Like, otherwise it just feels like it's built there just for you to use it to skip boring parts. Like, it doesn't feel like it's actually built around the spin dash as a primary like design tactic, in my opinion.
I have a fundamental issue with the spin dash from a game design perspective. Now, first of all, I want to say I have not watched my video on this game in like a year, so if I'm like contradicting anything I said, oops, sorry. But the spin dash to me, like if you look at Monkey Ball 1, to me the spin dash comes off like a cop-out. That's really my issue. Monkey Ball 1 had very tight, coordinated physics and solutions to beat each level, and solutions that you could come up with the tools the game gave you. To me, and we'll get into this probably soon, but like the physics being bad in Banana Rumble, which they are kind of bad in my opinion, that is why we have the spin dash, because it's a way for the game designers, in my opinion, to kind of deflect some of that, criticism around the physics not being tight. Because I honestly think if you didn't have the spin dash for this game, more people would be saying like, "Oh, this game kind of controls like Banana Blitz," or like, "This game doesn't control as tight." But because you have the spin dash,
Well, it's because it's the exact same physics reused again.
Because you have the spin dash, if you see a level, you could just skip it. The game designers don't have to face, criticism or concerns about the physics not working, and then the level's over. To me, it comes off like a cop-out. That's my issue.
Yeah, it does feel like they had more leeway to like not have to like focus as much on the level design. Like, oh, like if this isn't perfect, like players can just spin dash past it. Whereas in 1 and 2, like everything had to be like, perfectly planned out.
Yeah, like for example, Will, you've played the early game at least of Banana Rumble very recently. In your experience, how many levels would you say, you don't have to use an exact number, but like what percentage of your playtime was spent playing levels that clearly felt like they were just rushed out for you to spin dash over?
I've played a fair amount. I was actually playing a little bit more of it last night, and yeah, I would say a pretty decent number of the levels just felt a little uninspired. I would say like that. There's a couple fun ones, but when I play them, it just feels like there is one path, maybe two paths if they make like an insanely obvious skip that is like just them trying to justify the spin dash. But yeah, a lot of them it's and I was talking about this with Ninja when I was, giving my live reactions. The camera zoom in, whatever, show me dropping down, and the goal was almost always directly ahead. Whether it's the path winds on the way there or however, they almost make it where all the time where the goal is directly visible immediately in front of me, and I just like take one path to get there every single time.
Yeah.
I was playing Monkey Ball 1 the other day with Ninja, and I was like going through the expert stages, and I was like, oh man, this level's so tough, I wonder if there's a skip for it. And Ninja's like, oh, there's like this crazy specific skip that someone recently, or I don't know if they recently found it, but like there's a skip that someone found, and I was like, that is so cool. But Banana Rumble isn't set up that way. It's a whole lot of just you go forward, or you steer a little bit on the way there, and then you get to the goal. I'm like, okay. Okay.
Yeah, it kind of feels more like the spin dash was an afterthought than like, a core, like, all right, this is our fundamental idea. Let's build the entire game like around this and see how much we can get out of it. You know, it's kind of feels stapled on top from what I've seen. Granted, you know, again, I don't own it, but
Well, it's an easy win in theory. It's just, it allows you to go faster. So you can apply it to anything.
Something even Jeff brought up in his video is that there are levels. Like, for example, in World 10, there's a level where there's this gap you gotta cross, but leading to the other side of the gap is a bunch of these like Tetris-looking pieces that rotate every now and then. So it looks like you have to like very slowly, carefully go across these while watching the rotations. And it looks like an interesting level, except, as you could probably guess, you could just spin dash it in 2 seconds. So what's the point? it's just a lot of levels on like that. Where it's like, there's probably an interesting level in there somewhere. As a player, you're not encouraged to engage with it at all, like whatsoever. It's a huge problem.
Yeah, I would say that the way that you guys suggested it just a few minutes ago about like, almost like a new game plus, you beat the game, you unlock the spin dash, and then now it gives you a new paradigm to explore these levels.
That'd be cool too.
That would be really cool. Yeah, I think that would be a pretty sweet idea, but instead they just kind of throw it all out there, which makes sense, but also like the levels aren't designed.
Yeah, like even the jump in Banana Mania was something you had to unlock. Granted, it was very easy to unlock, but you still had to unlock it. It was not by default.
Yeah, it's just kind of a cool alternate way to run the game, I think. But, you know, the spin dash, cool idea. I don't think it's executed too interestingly.
yeah, and are we going to talk about like the character stats too? Because I feel like it's a very similar issue.
God.
Very similar problems.
How did we go
arise
this
from
long?
that, where, like,
that up?
yeah, because like similarly, like how like the spin dash like kind of makes the level design less tight because there's like way more, you know, movement options. Now like every character has a completely different physics set, and I think there's physics sliders too, right? Or am I mistaken on that? Is that just Banana Mania?
You can adjust your camera settings, which adjust the controls, because it's exactly the same as Banana Mania. But a camera control settings adjust your turning, which is really cool.
Yeah, that I meant to loop back around to that since I talked about my biggest number one complaint with Banana Mania being the controls. I thought the controls seemed pretty decent in this one. After you pick a specific character, and after you
pick a very specific camera speed.
Yeah, Ninja's like, yeah, you have to go to the camera settings. I'm like, okay, I'm in the camera settings. No, the advanced camera settings, and there's like 5,000 sliders.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, that's kind of cool that they give you a bajillion options, but also like, I shouldn't have to do this to make the game feel okay.
Like I feel like the thing with like Monkey Ball 1 and 2 is it's like no matter who's playing it, you know, no matter what time, whatever, like everyone has the exact same physics and moveset to work with, you know. But in Banana Rumble, it's like every character controls differently. And then on top of that, like anybody can like go into the settings and change the controls even more. So it's like I mean, from a design perspective, I imagine it's very difficult to design like tight, you know, well thought out levels when there's like 9 different, you know, control schemes or whatever.
Yeah, that's almost definitely another problem affecting level design for sure, like no doubt.
Because I know there's like some levels that you actually need certain characters to beat, or like maybe you don't need to, but it's like almost impossible to like beat like a certain level as like Baby or something, you know.
I'll say two examples I encountered is one of the levels at the very end of the I think 10 EX was a level where you had to go through anything small, like any small skinny platforms with Baby is tough. But you can pretty much do all of them except there's one with like these, you know, the sort of checkerboard style where you have to go on the corner to get between platforms. Pretty much impossible with Baby. I had to switch to you know, a slower character. But then one of the insanely hard, like in the new update, one of the insanely hard levels, I heard that this is because Baby doesn't work with the boost panels properly.
No, he doesn't.
Baby was not fast enough.
Oh, I'll write about that after.
Oh god.
Yeah, Baby was not fast enough to do this, so I had to go to Yan Yan because of the speed stat was slightly higher.
See, that is a design fail in my opinion.
So Baby, just to clarify, Baby, if you're using him on the boost pads, there's something that's broken with the boost pads where you kind of have to like spin dash into them to get the full speed. Otherwise, it doesn't work. Yeah. Which I
was wondering about that.
Yeah. So it's a broken mechanic, and the character stats in general like kind of go against the whole like speedrunning thing in my opinion. Like Monkey Ball wants to say that's their identity. But then it's like, all right, well, everyone has to play as Baby. Like, it doesn't matter what characters they add because it's like...
Yeah, now there's a meta.
He just stopped so well.
And the characters are like really poorly balanced too, because there's some that are like
so bad.
very clearly disadvantaged compared to others, you know, like every one of their stats is lower.
Yeah, if you're a poor Mimi main like me, you just cry. 'cause
Mimi
it's like
is
the worst
like-
character in the game.
That's
She has like the worst stats out of any other character. You cannot play as Mimi if you want to have a fun time with this game, at least not in my opinion.
Yeah, I didn't know about that.
It's even more funny to me that like Baby is the most blatantly like broken and speedrunnable character, yet the dash panels don't work with him.
I don't get how that happened.
That was driving me crazy. I was like, I am touching these dash panels and not doing anything.
Well, again, like I'm sure it's hard to test when there's like so many different possible control schemes. It's like antithetical to what Monkey Ball is. It's crazy.
I levied this in my Banana Blitz HD video that they couldn't even really get it right with 6 characters because there were levels where Gon was like not playable, at least not in my opinion on some of the levels. So the fact that they didn't really learn from that and we're really we're going through the same thing, like, I don't know, the character stats should have never been brought back. They were not even in Banana Mania. They were actually purposely brought back for this game, which has been terrible in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's so weird because like the character stats in Banana Blitz were clearly them trying to do like some weird experimental kind of like replayability thing, because there's like a few levels and like probably like 2 or something in the whole game where Baby has like a small shortcut because he's smaller than the every character, so he can get this little shortcut. Like, it was clearly an idea that they had, but then realized at some point was just like not a good idea, but then they kept it in the game anyway because that's Banana Blitz. Probably made in like 4 minutes, but it's like why bring it back? Name one person that likes the character stats. Oh wait,
There probably are. I'm not.
they probably are, but like the point being that they're net negative. They only, like in Monkey Ball 1, you could play as whatever character you want and be top in the leaderboards and enjoy, you know, the glory or whatever. But you can't do that in Rumble. You have to play as Baby.
Yeah, okay. And I'd like to kind of clarify something, like, because I know there's going to be Monkey Ball fans who watch this video, and if you like Monkey Ball in that style, that's totally fine. Our issue is not with, at least not, I'll speak from behalf of me. My issue is not if you enjoy that style, it's that the style that we enjoy is not represented. So it's like, I get that there are people who probably do like Banana Blitz. I get that there are people who are probably like character stats. That's totally fine. And if you enjoy the games that way, like, I'm happy for you. I just think that our side of the equation needs to be represented as well. That's at least on my behalf, that's my issue.
Yeah, it's weird because like it nichifies, whatever. It makes a series like way harder. It's way less accessible than the game that came out in 2001, made in 4 minutes on an arcade machine. Like, how is that game more accessible and more fun and more polished
and more replayable
and better designed and has better graphics and they just keep going. But the point being, like, adding character stats does not improve the game. All it does is make it miserable for people who don't like character stats. So why even include it at all? Makes no sense. Baffling move, baffling decision. In my opinion, there's a lot of bad things in this game. We'll get to some of the other stuff later, but this is, in my opinion, the most egregious thing in the entire game.
Yeah, it's up there for sure.
I don't get it at all.
The fact that it was brought back is... The thing that it was brought back is really the main thing that makes me mad, if I'm being honest with you. Like, it was gone. We were making some sort of progress, even if Banana Mania still kind of sucked. Now that progress is useless, so whatever.
Yep.
But Jeff, who cares if the gameplay is worse and the controls are worse and the character stats are worse? Because there's a story mode. There's a story, guys. It's like Monkey Ball 2. Woo! Remember that story mode? Was it so great? The one in Rumble must be fantastic. Remember, it was Bad Boon in that leaked footage. Is Bad Boon gonna come back and have revenge in the story?
No.
That sounds crazy. Okay, Jeff, what happens in the story of Banana Rumble?
I don't really remember, honestly. I don't.
Mood.
I roasted it a bunch in my video, and from there I don't remember anything. Like, there's.
I've had the story explained to me so many times in like different reviews and like talking to you guys and stuff. I can't remember a single plot point. Like, it's just like, okay.
Here's the problem with Rumble's story is that there's barely any. Like, Monkey Ball 2 story was not award-winning by any means, but it was good. It was like, the thing is, it constantly gave you a reason to look forward to the next cutscene. Like every single cutscene was Bad Boon's ridiculous scheme to try to like beat the monkeys out or whatever, and he failed every time.
I was gagged by that as a kid, man. Like, I was always wanting to see what happened next.
The thing is, in Rumble, the hook is the 6 secret ooh parts that aren't rip-offs of Chaos Emeralds at all. But the 6 secret ooh parts, which is named after a stage in Monkey Ball 2 for no reason. I don't even know if that's a coincidence or not. It's just strange. But the problem is that every cutscene past like the first one, I guess, is they enter an area. Maybe there's like some light comedy, like very, very light, like 1 second joke, and then they grab the ooh part and then they move on. Like literally, like every world is like, guys, we reached the world. End of cutscene. You beat the world. We found the part.
Yeah, that was the vibe I was getting too.
It actually gets like it begins pretty uneventful already. Like I think the beginning of the story is actually kind of okay. Like all right, we have Pallet. Yeah, Pallet steals EiEi's banana, teaches them how to Spindash. She's like, okay, go find the part so we can. I forgot what the plot even was. Whatever they're supposed to be doing, whatever. Find the MacGuffin or whatever. But then like afterwards, they go from having like little skits like, oh, Pallet hints that she's gonna steal treasure from the treasure world, and then Gongon's confused or something. And then like once you get to like world 8, they just give up. There's just nothing. They just enter the world. It's like, hey, we're here. Cutscene ends. Next cutscene. We found it, and like it's that from like 4 worlds.
Yeah, because like with Monkey Ball 2, right? It's like every world is almost like a completely different plot from the last, and like you could say that as like a negative, but like I don't know, I thought that was always super entertaining, and it was always like you never knew what was gonna happen next, and it never disappointed. There was always something crazy happening.
I guess there's technically a villain team in Rumble, but like they do nothing. They show up, they say, we're the villain trio, and then nothing happens. Nothing happens.
Yeah, like it just feels like a very generic platformer plot to me. And like I guess that's like okay, but like if that's the main draw to your game because you're not gonna have a challenge mode, like it's not enough. Like I don't know.
The thing is, Will remembers this, right? In World 4, the villain team comes back at the end of the world. They walk up, it's like, okay, something's gonna happen. Dude, they're gonna like kidnap them or something, and then they just walk away. They literally walk up, say, hey, all right, bye, and then just leave. Like, what?
That was so funny. We're like, whoa, look at all this money. And it's like 1 foot away from them. And someone's like, we should grab it. And they're like, we don't have time for this. And they just like walked back off screen. I'm like, okay.
It's like, why were you there in the first
writing
place?
moment?
I want to talk about this. So here's the thing. I am okay with bad stories in games sometimes. The problem really, like, it is a bad story. It's pretty horrible, to be completely honest with you. But if the gameplay were as we would wish it would be, I don't think it would really, like, we'd put a little asterisk, but like it wouldn't be a big deal. That being said,
yeah,
you know, I do think if you're gonna make a story in a game like this, you know, you should try a little harder than I think they tried here. My real issue with the story, to be completely honest with you, there's too many cooks in the kitchen. And what I mean by that is there are so many characters on this adventure. You have the 6 of your Monkey Ball characters. You have the Pallet. You have like these 3 animals who I don't really know what they do in the story, to be honest with you. You have Easel, like the main villain. There's like 12 characters, and if you look at Monkey Ball 2's story, I think the reason it was able to be memorable and charming is because you had 5 and then like Bad Boon's assistant as a 6th technically. Like there really wasn't a lot.
But he was just like a background character at that point.
Yeah, okay. So there was 5 characters. To me, there's like Doctor, I think, has like 1 line in the story. Yan Yan, I think, has like 1 line.
Have they still explained Doctor and Yan Yan's relationship to the main 4, or are they
No.
they're still just pretending like they've just always been here?
I think a little bit, right? I thought in the manuals they had some sort of explanation. I could be wrong.
Yeah, but that's it. It's just the Banana Blitz manual. And like maybe they have it in Rumble. I don't remember.
Yeah, but like that's how they explained a lot of like, you know, the original 4s.
Okay, I guess fair. I haven't read the Banana Blitz manual, but
I don't think I have either. So.
Yeah. Well, the thing about me is that the amount of characters would be fine if they built a story around all those characters that utilized them all, but they didn't do that. They like did like the bare minimum required to technically count as a story.
yeah,
Like for example, there's a point in the game when the villain team sees EiEi and his crew trapped in a giant cage. It's like, all right, this is their opportunity. They could finally do whatever villainous like plot they had. This is their time to shine, and then they just free them.
why?
So what is your character? What is your character arc? Why are you here? And what is the like? It makes no sense. They're just here to save EiEi and then walk away. That's all they do. They do nothing
Yeah,
else
it's
in the
like
story.
it's like they have double the amount of characters and half the plot is what it sounds like, you know.
My issue with the plot is like it's an unsatisfying conclusion in my opinion because we have Pallet who like completely betrays our group. And then at the end, like EiEi's like, oh, it's fine. You could just be friends with us. To me, that's not what I like. Look, I'm not gonna say EiEi's like some peak fiction character. He's really not. But to me, that's not something EiEi would have done in the classic games. Like, and I get everyone likes Pallet because she's like this like new character, like cutesy sort of character, and whatever. Everyone's gonna like that type of character. But like, that's not a satisfying conclusion in my opinion.
That's not the I know.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah. So that's really if we want to talk about like a narrative perspective, it's not just us nitpicking. I think that is a genuinely unsatisfying conclusion, personally.
I don't know. You'd think that Palette directly betraying him and having her dad be the main villain of the game would have, cause some pause for EiEi. Maybe he'd be like, huh, maybe I should have trusted this person. Instead, you cure him, whatever, from whatever thing he was going through, and he's like, yeah, it's fine, Palette, it's okay. It's like, what happened? The ultimate roast I was gonna say is that I played Somebody Amigo, the Apple Arcade game, right? That game was a port of a Switch game that nobody cared about, but it was an Apple Arcade version. And in that version of the game, they added a brand new story mode, which has an evil version of Amigo and everything, right? That plot is so much better than Rumble. It's so much better.
That's so sad.
It's so much, it has actual dialogue, it has actual narrative. There's actually a villain that I can remember. It's also funnier. Anyway, the point being is that throwaway Apple Arcade game with half the amount of cutscenes had way more story than this $50 game.
It's almost like they're just depending on people seeing that this game actually had animated cutscenes instead of just JPEGs on screen and thought that would be enough. They're like, okay, that's work is done.
I appreciate the production value, but it still feels like they cheaped out as much as they could, even with the production value.
Yeah. How is the cinematography in the cutscenes? Because I haven't refreshed in a hot second. Is it as good as 2 or?
Okay, the cinematography, I don't know. I will say that the cutscenes, if we want to, I do want to be fair where we can with this game. I think the cutscenes are.
Is there as much movement and as in 2, establishing shots
They animated pretty well.
I thought the animation was actually quite nice. If you want my opinion, I do want to be fair to this game where appropriate, and I do think the animations were well animated. They look good. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I would say to me, I don't know, I didn't have any strong opinions about the animation. To me, it just kind of seemed like the equivalent, Sega's equivalent of a source filmmaker type cutscene. It's just they're kind of rigged up and they just move around and talk. My complaint is that I want to look at the cutscene, but I can't because they put the dialogue box in really tiny text. Even when you blow it up all the way, they stick 1 or 2 entire sentences in this dialogue box at the bottom of the screen. So I'm reading it the whole time, and I look back up, and then there's already another dialogue box. So I can't really pay attention to what's happening in the cutscene.
Yeah, there's a reason why in Monkey Ball 2 they display all the text in bubbles, so you can still read it while looking at the cutscene.
Yeah.
Common Super Monkey Ball 2 dub.
Yeah, in this game, it's just this giant text box.
Yeah, it's some Arial font, super tiny in the middle of my screen, down at the bottom. I'm
But fine, okay, the story mode is not great. But guys, Super Monkey Ball 1 has never really appealed to the casuals that way anyway. What's really important about Monkey Ball is the mini games. That's what makes people come together and play the game with their friends and family. So guys, how are the mini games in Super Monkey Ball Banana Rumble? They must be really great. I can't wait for Monkey Target and Monkey Fight, and dude, even Monkey Bowling. That'd be so cool.
They're not in the game.
What the fuck is this?
Is this actually how I find out about this?
Yes.
Wow. I don't know why.
Wait, you don't know about the minigame situation in this game, Will?
No.
Oh, you sweet.
I assumed they were somewhere in the game because I played a little bit of online. I was like, oh, this must just be playing the minigames online. Oh, well, I haven't seen any I care about yet.
So one of the main things that they used to advertise this game was the online multiplayer. Now, on one hand, you have the co-op story mode, which I think is actually probably the best part of the whole game. Honestly, that's easily the best part of the whole game.
I would disagree with you personally.
Well, originally you could not go through the worlds in order with a group. You'd have to manually remove yourself from the group and then create a new group in order to play the next world. I think they did change that in an update eventually.
If they updated that, that's good, but when I played it, it was not like that, and it totally destroyed the pacing of that for me.
Yeah, that sounds awful.
And it's funny because that mode was actually supposed to be in Banana Mania. Remember from the website where it said you can defeat Jungle Island as a group, and then they removed it pre-release and just had no multiplayer at all. I think that's what it was supposed to be, was the Rumble online multiplayer. So that's something.
Okay, but yeah, there's no minigames.
Yeah, there's no minigame. So instead, what you have is an online mode. We can play up to, I think, 16 players, right? 16 people online mode. And it has a battle pass where you can unlock items by playing the online mode. We can unlock extra customization options that you can't. And the best part about the online mode is that it runs at 30 frames per second with heavy input lag at all times, even after an update that supposedly reduced it.
It's funny you say up to 16 players, because Lord knows one of those servers has never been filled up to 16 past launch day.
It's always like at least half bots, no matter what you do.
That's generous. I feel like I heard from like reviews coming out like weeks after the game. They were saying like, "Oh yeah, I tried to get in a lobby and like nobody joined. It was at 0."
Probably minutes
like,
after the game launched, honestly.
I would imagine day one there were probably like full lobbies, but that's it. Like I tried playing a few times. I think I got like 2 people in a lobby at most, and I was one of them. Look, here's an uncomfortable truth. In terms of the internet, we are getting older. You know, so like battle royale games are huge right now, right? Like that is like the thing everyone's playing, like Fortnite, whatever. That being said, why the frick would you integrate that to Monkey Ball? I don't know.
Yeah, the thing with like battle royale games is like you need a sizable player base for them to work, just like, you know, at a base level. And Monkey Ball, like, it's already struggling to sell just as like a single player experience. Like, you know, Crash Bandicoot put out a what do you call it, a battle royale game, and Crash is a way more popular franchise, and it flopped. Nobody bought it, nobody played it. Like, I don't know why they thought Monkey Ball was the series to turn into a battle royale.
Just think about it like this, right? If you're a little 10-year-old Timmy from Nebraska, right? And you want to play a battle royale game, or you're going to play Fortnite, the free game that you already know and love because you're 10, that has all these insane characters like
Peter
Sub-Zero
Griffin.
and Spider-Man and Peter Griffin, right? And you can play it, you know, on any console, or you're going to pay $50 so that you can play Super Monkey Ball Banana Rumble on only the Nintendo Switch. Which one is 10-year-old little Timmy from Idaho gonna choose? That they moved between
Fortnite,
releases.
definitely.
Like, you're going to pick either Fall Guys, which is trying to clearly rip off, or you're gonna pick Fortnite, or you're even gonna pick Sonic Rumble, which is the Sonic-based one that they announced before the game even came out, meaning that the name Rumble was already stolen by Sega themselves with one or more popular IPs.
I don't know how to say this
Yeah.
without sounding at least a little rude, but like Monkey Ball is not cool, at least not in that sense. Like it is not a game that you're gonna see like, you know, people are not gonna like say this is the next big thing. People are not gonna like, it's just not.
Well,
I'm sorry.
Especially the way they market it now, where they have to like, you know, everything looks so just like babyish, you know. Like I know some people like it, but like I'm sorry, I don't. Monkey Ball
Yeah,
used to
we
be
could talk
cool.
about that at some point.
Yeah, because the thing is, they're trying to market Monkey Ball to a younger and younger audience, but like they aren't buying. They aren't the ones buying the game. I'm sorry, I don't know how to say that.
Monkey Ball is a nostalgia franchise. It's, to be honest with you.
The main people buying Monkey Ball are people our age. It's not like 10-year-old Billy from, you know, Washington. It's not him. It's us. We're the ones buying it.
If you want to market a game towards like kids, the best way to do it is to actually market it towards like teens, because like kids want to play what
Yeah,
like
that's a
the
good way
big
to put it.
kids and like older audiences are playing. They don't
like,
want
that's why
to.
kids
You know,
are
they can
playing
tell when they're
Fortnite,
being talked
'cause
down to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Fortnite at one point was like a big kids game to play Fortnite. That's why they're playing it. They don't want to play Coco Melon, Super Monkey Ball, Banana Rumble, you know,
Yeah.
Buck Teeth, EiEi monkey game. Like, they don't want to
Yeah,
play.
because like
that, no
like 1 and 2 had like a much more like realistic, you know, cooler kind of vibe to it. You know, I played that when I was like 4 or 5 and thought it was like the bee's knees.
The bees knees.
You know, like I wouldn't have been into Rumble though.
The bees and knees.
The reason why we're playing Rumble now is because we played those old games when we were, you know, like 4 or 5, whatever. Like, if me at the age 4 saw Banana Rumble, do you think I would care at all?
I wouldn't.
The answer is no, I wouldn't. I'd just be playing Mario Odyssey or something instead.
Yeah, no, seriously.
Like, I don't think Monkey Ball is drawing in new audiences because they're trying so hard to do so that they're actually alienating the few like remaining fans that want it. Like, I don't know. And the way that they're doing that is with the multiplayer games, which we should probably talk about in some detail. I feel like, at least like a little bit.
I don't really know any of them, to be honest with you. I don't even remember what I played.
Okay, I probably have the most experience with these. So out of all the classic Monkey Ball mini games, the only one that's in this game, I think, is Race. Technically, they have like a race mode,
Yeah, that was fine.
which like it's fine, but with the input lag and the lag of the game in general, running at 30 FPS, it's like borderline unplayable. It's so bad.
That's
It
really
would
the
be a
issue.
fun mode if it worked properly, but I'm not gonna play a game at 30 FPS with like
Against
a
all
full
bots
second of input
at
lag.
that.
And then the next mode they have is the bomb mode, which is basically just tag. It's just tag with a bomb. You know, you're trying to win more points in your team. You know, try to not have the bomb when it blows up. It's like fine. It's like it's probably one of the better ones, honestly. But at the same time, when you're playing with 80% bots, like who cares? It's whatever. The next one is Goal Rush, which is that you go on a slope and there's a bunch of goals like going down the slope. And each goal is worth a certain amount of points. So you want your team to have the most amount of goal points by the end of the round. It is fine. It is okay. It's not something I would boot up the game every night of my life, put a battle pass for. And then the last one, I'm trying to remember. Oh yeah, the last one is the robot fighting mode, where there's a bunch of robots on the stage. And you have to hit them with the spin dash in order to gain the most points for your team. Now the problem I had with this one is that pre-release, I saw this mode. And I thought, oh my god, they're gonna do it. They're gonna add in boss battles with the stupid spin dash.
Oh no.
And that's why they're building a whole mini game around it. Instead, they didn't do that, and it's just a okay mini game.
I'm
It's
glad
actually
we
really
don't have a
boring.
boss battle in Monkey Ball though. To be honest.
Yeah.
That's true, but it would have been way more interesting than this stupid mini game. Like otherwise, there's no point for this to exist. Like why they make this? Like I don't care about this mode. It's mid. That's the one that Will played. Will, what was your opinion on beating up robot game with spin dash?
I don't know. It just it was like
Real. I don't know.
it was like you take a Mario Party game and you make that an entire game mode.
You mean it didn't make back your $50 already?
Oh, that was
You
it.
speechless.
That was it. I was just saying it was like mindless fun. I was like, whatever. I'm not like bent out of shape about it, but it didn't really do anything for me. I was like, well, anyways.
All of the mini games are just like 5 or 6 out of 10. There's none of them I would say are like even Fall Guys I would recommend over that, and that's like a free to play game now. So just play Fall Guys.
Yeah, no, seriously.
I have told this story at least 10 times since the year 2015 in videos. Maybe not that many times. People growing up, when we played Monkey Ball, they wanted to play. They didn't really care about Monkey Ball, to be honest with you. They wanted to play Target.
Yeah.
They wanted to play boxing. They wanted to play bowling.
And those were
like,
fun.
Those were
I guess
fun.
they technically had a
They were
boxing.
in depth. Okay, it's not the same, so. But I don't think Sega realizes how big of a draw party games were. Like, Monkey Ball 1 and 2 each sold, like, at least 500K on the GameCube, maybe more than that.
Yeah, if not more.
I want to say million each, but I don't think that's correct. I don't remember how much they sold.
I'm gonna look up the numbers.
These were
right now.
big selling games. It's not because I hate to say it. I like the story mode. It's not because, or I like the challenge mode. It's not just because of the challenge mode. It really isn't. I cannot tell you the
Yeah.
amount of friends, the amount of times I would bring Monkey Ball 1 and 2 over to a friend's house, and all we would play is Target. All we would play is bowling. All we play is boxing, billiards,
Yeah,
golf.
I still do that
These
with
are
my brother.
Yeah, these are
break
fun
out Monkey Ball
modes
2
that-
and just spend all afternoon just in the different, party games. They're all so well made.
So I don't understand what the Ninja. Just bleep this, okay? I don't care. I don't understand what the fuck Sega is doing. I don't get it. These are not like I can't even articulate my feelings on this mode because I just don't understand why they decided to take this route. I don't get it. It is like the worst possible scenario.
Just a trend chase, and so they can money launder their fans through all the DLC.
I just don't get it. Why would you do that? Like, why would you take something so beloved? Even in Banana Mania, even in BBHD, these were like some of the crappier aspects of those games, right? Like, they didn't really do a good job porting those mini games over in either game. I don't understand why. It's kind of like the challenger mode, right? It's just like, why are you just neglecting something that made your series so good?
It's like, yeah, they feel like they need to run away from everything that made 1 and 2 special. Except, like, I guess there's, like, decent level design now, but that's it. Everything else is still just Banana Blitz.
And the thing is, there's no reason to return to it after you play it once, which is like a huge mistake for a Monkey Ball game. But we've already kind of gone over
Just
that.
antithetical, yeah.
Yeah, I think like so Johnny's been on this podcast plenty of times. He introduced Monkey Ball to me probably 6 or so years ago, maybe 7 now. Yeah, I know, that's crazy. We would play like just standard multiplayer challenge mode. I guess Monkey Ball 1, it would just be like, easy, advanced, that kind of stuff. But we would keep going back to like Monkey Target, Monkey Fight. Those are like so fun. Like to this day, Monkey Target on 1 and 2, honestly, they're just super fun. I'm just kind of bummed out that we haven't had like a solid representation of those game modes since then, and now they're just gone completely. So it's like, okay.
I'm sad we haven't had a solid representation of Monkey Ball in general since then.
The last like bastion for Monkey Target is like literally the Monkey Ball Adventure, and even then it's like probably a 5 out of 10. That's it.
Yeah, they really
Big
nailed it
sad.
the first time, in my opinion. And it's like super replayable, very simple game, but it's just so fun.
Like all of the mini games in 1 and 2 could like be okay, maybe not be full-fledged games in their own right, but like as close as you can get for like a mini game. You know what I mean? Like you could spend hours in one of them.
Speaking of that, Will, watch me play this, but there's a game on Switch only called Bonito Days. It's literally just Monkey Target, but like
Oh, that
played by
game is
indie dev.
awesome. We gotta make an episode talking about games like that.
Yeah, I would recommend it to anyone watching. If you actually want to play good Monkey Target in the year 2025, just play that game.
That game is
Like,
awesome.
Really,
That game is so
yeah, it's
cool.
really good. Not the show, but that game was fun. I wanted to talk about it.
Not to show,
Sorry.
and it's like a indie game.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you have
yeah,
no
wish I was-
involvement in.
Yeah, totally though. I would agree that it's a bummer that they just kind of didn't do anything, because they already made the game modes. If they could have just ported them into Banana Rumble from like Banana Mania, and then once again addressed our complaints, which is mostly just like tweaking of the physics, and like I don't know, that would have been good enough for me. But here we are.
Just like bare minimum stuff that they still refuse to do.
Just use any ever engine ever.
You just
most
like
of our-
they
That
just
would
need to
require money,
type in like different
apparently.
numbers. It's like, oh, let's just turn up the friction so that they don't go rolling forever. There you go. That's you've mostly fixed the game.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just really weird how they can't seem to get that right ever. Like they had the perfect, they out of nowhere, and like you said, like in 4 months on an arcade machine, came up with the perfect physics engine, and then just never have come close again for some reason.
All right, so Banana Rumble, right? The game
Mhm.
is imperfect, as we've already stated.
That's one way to put it.
The best way to fix a game is to update it, because it's the year 2025, and every game gets updates, unless its name is Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania. But we'll get, I don't want to talk about that. So, but one of my initial issues with the game, which was like the most distracting thing in the world, was that when the game came out, it ran at, I believe, like 50 FPS instead of 60, and it was so annoying. It was so annoying. And it took them like at least a full month to update it, and I'm mad about it.
The thing about Banana Rumble is that there's nothing like completely, like the game I don't think is egregious or, even bad, but I just think
Yeah.
that it's so close to being what we want, but it, I feel like it's just going unheard because it's a mix of like Sega not really listening, and probably a decent mix of Sega not even being given the criticism at I don't know, to any magnitude, because a lot of people just be
Yeah.
like, yep, this is good, thank you, and then they just don't. That's kind of it. I'm like, well,
Yeah.
if only we could let them know in some way, like, hey, could you guys make these slight changes? I just want a monkey ball game that I play for more than a year.
Well, it's strange because they made like a Google Doc, whatever. You could like submit feedback after Banana Mania came out, and then they basically used none of it.
Yeah,
they
no.
throw it
Gran
into the
Turismo.
garbage can.
I was thinking about this, like, pretty much every complaint I made in my Banana Mania video still applies to Banana Rumble, except for the cutscenes being actually animated. That's literally the only thing. Because my only other positives were the level design were good, because it's ripped from 1 and 2. And that's, like, the only positive you can really give to Rumble, too. So it's like, yeah, they fixed, like, nothing.
To me, it feels like the only reason why Sega even makes these Monkey Ball games anymore is literally just to market DLC. They did that with Banana Mania. They're like, hey guys, we brought back 1 and 2. We also brought these characters you can buy for $5. Please give me money for the old soundtrack, because they're not gonna add to the game.
I'm still mad about that, by the way.
Which, like, I don't know. I feel like the DLC for Banana Rumble is like super duper.
It's so much worse.
To me, it just feels like they're very desperate for attention, honestly. Like,
What? No, putting Among Us in the game isn't desperate.
that's
5
my
years
opinion.
after it was relevant last.
I wouldn't be surprised if that's the main way they make money off these games, to be completely honest with you, because should we just talk about the sales at this point?
Yeah.
I guess so. I mean, I wish I would have ran about Among Us being in
About
Banana
what?
Rumble. About the crewmate being in Banana Rumble or something like that.
I don't really
Yeah.
care. I don't even think the DLC choices were that bad, if you want me to be completely honest. Like, maybe I'm saying that because I like Pac-Man. I'm a big Pac-Man boy, but like, whatever. I guess that's it, actually.
I don't know, it's just kind of cringe seeing like these mobile phone game characters like Angry Birds and Crewmate in there. It's like, okay.
I guess that's fair. Yeah, we should probably talk about the sales.
Because from what we know now, like, I do want to preface this by saying we can't prove anything really here, but from what our estimates, we've done a lot of research into this, and from what our best estimates would guess, we do not think this game sold very well, if well at all.
That's generous.
Yeah, because the first week in Japan, on the first week of release in Japan, it sold only like 1,500 copies or something like that. Which like is already bad enough. The thing is, it was on, I believe it was Famitsu's like top like 30 games of the week or something, and it was dead last, and it never showed up again on the list after that point. Like, it was literally
And
one week.
it's a
and that
low
was
bar
it.
to get on that list too, right? Like, you don't have to sell much at all to get on there.
Yeah, like Chibi Robo sold like 10K at least when it came out. Like, I'm talking about Ziplash also, for the record. So that's,
We haven't seen it really peak at all on the Nintendo eShop charts. We haven't. Ninja did some research into the Amazon. If you want to explain that, I don't know that very well.
Yeah, there's like this thing on Amazon where it's like this item is the 300th most purchased today or something. And it was like a month after release, it was being outsold by like Mario Odyssey or something. Like, even like really like minor games. Basically, it was like number like 500 or something, like a month after. Like it was
Mario
the 500th
Odyssey, like 7
best-selling
years
game.
after launch.
So I'll say that we don't have the full picture. We really don't. So if this, like, especially because we live in the digital age, right? So like maybe things are selling like more copies than like the retailers know, or like whoever's reporting this information.
It's possible maybe like a ton of copies sold out like GameStop or something like a week after launch, or maybe like it was secretly like just under the eShop like top whatever list of games for its entire existence.
I will
like,
add though that like the game had zero cultural impact, so I'm kind of willing to believe no one really bought it, because outside of like the core Monkey Ball fan base, not a peep I've heard about it, you know.
For me, the main sign that this game probably failed was that when the Switch 2 was announced, Sega started porting over some of their games. And their choices were Sonic X Shadow, a game that came out after Banana Rumble. There was Puyo Puyo Tetris like 2, so like 2 years after launch or something. And then there was a new Yakuza 0 like version. The thing is, wouldn't you think they would want to port one of their main Switch exclusives over to the Switch 2?
Unless it's like the exclusivity thing getting in the way and they're gonna announce it like in June. But if not, then yeah, that's just a bad look.
I thought it was strange. It's like this game that you'd think they would be wanting to resell to people, because presumably it didn't sell like amazingly, and they're still locking it behind Switch 1.
Yeah, plus you'd think like if there is like an exclusivity, you know, that's like the issue, like Switch 2 is still, you know, it's an extension of the Switch. Like I'm sure Nintendo would still be okay with that, I'm sure.
Yeah, like they can always update the game to like, you know, have Switch 2 support or something. Like,
Yeah.
they can do something. I don't know, the signs are not great is what we're getting at. We don't really know the game's sold.
Yeah, I think like our estimates were like what, it sold like a few thousand copies like at first, like at least like when we were last checking.
I don't know. I can't put a number on it. It's basically just impossible. But if I had to guess, this sold maybe at maybe 100K most at most.
Yeah, at most.
Yeah.
And even then, it's just a guess.
And that's just a
I have
guess.
no
I have
clue.
no clue. It could have sold worse. It could have sold a lot better. To be completely fair, we don't know.
It just after
but-
like 1 and 2, I think make up like a majority of the series' total sales, which is like really embarrassing.
There's actually an article about this, about how Monkey Ball broke a new sales milestone. What was it?
5 million.
Yeah, like it broke 5 million, and when I remember they announced
But
they hit
Inklets
4
must
million.
have sold a
What was-
lot, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's,
because I remember they announced. I'm actually gonna Google this right now. Let's make sure I'm saying this right.
I think Monkey Ball 2 sold more than Banana Blitz, from what I understand.
Yeah. With Banana Rumble, it finally sold 5 million copies. But the last time they broke that barrier, I believe, was with Banana Blitz, because they announced 4 million after Banana Blitz. Yeah. As of December 2006, the franchise has sold 4 million copies. That means since Banana Blitz, all of these games collectively have sold 1 million. Which is
Yeah.
crazy.
Absolutely crazy.
Which is crazy. That means that includes 3D, Banana Splits, Banana Blitz HD, Banana Mania, and Rumble. Like all of those games, I'm probably missing a couple. All of those games combined only sold 1 million, which I don't think is a great sign
No.
that Rumble did particularly well.
Oh, and
definitely did not sell a million.
Right, yeah.
And Steppenwolf. Yeah, it's like
Yeah, most of the sales came from 1 and 2. I think Blitz probably covered whatever was left to get to 4 million, and then that was it. It's just been like, you know, little raindrops since then, basically.
I guess the question is like, are they even gonna make another Monkey Ball game after this?
I don't think they will. I think
kinda
this game was
jinxed it.
enough of a failure where I'm like, I just don't see it, I guess.
I could see them maybe just like reluctantly putting it to PC in June or something. Like,
sure they will.
Outside of
Yeah.
a port, that's all I could really see happening.
Yeah, they probably will bring it to other consoles, kind of see, like, gauge how much people care, which I'm sure PC will probably be the one that people care about the most, but
I don't even know about
maybe,
that.
like, I could see them bringing it back another Monkey Ball in, like, 3 years.
Yeah, that's the thing. If they bring back Monkey Ball, it's gonna be like a revival type of thing. You know, it's gonna be another revival. I don't think they're gonna continue whatever we got here.
Well, I just think they'll just, like, quietly put out another Monkey Ball and just be like, look, it's a new Monkey Ball game. Is
it even worth the money for them at this point, though?
Yeah, I feel like I could see it going like the same way as like Samba de Amigo, where it's just like this really niche Sega franchise that they just kind of whip out every now and then to like say they make
Yeah,
more games
like,
than just Sonic.
they'll
You
be
know what I
like-
mean?
It'd be like, for Nintendo Switch 2, Super Monkey Ball, Banana Mayhem.
it's going to be another banana title just to make that's a whole other tangent, just how much they keep using the banana title.
I love Banana Mayhem because it would be even more confusing.
Yeah,
It already is.
yeah. You know how many times I have to be like, yeah, Ninja with banana splits, banana mania, banana rumble.
Yeah, it's like every time.
Yeah, they made a joke about that in my Banana Mania video, and then they just made another banana title. I was so pissed.
I guess just to like tie up my thoughts on the game, like they addressed the controls, which was the biggest one for me. Asterisk, because you need very specific setup. You also need a specific character. It's almost like too little too late because the stages don't really serve it. If I could get that control in Banana Mania, that would be pretty cool. But
yeah, if they would ever
can't.
update Banana Mania, that'd be cool.
And now it's so far gone that I'm sure that game, it could be a problem for them. Just give us a tick box that says like classic controls, please. I don't know if they would be able to replicate that accurately or like understand what a classic control entails.
I don't think they are able to, otherwise they would have just done that.
I want to call someone out very indirectly here. There was like an intern. I don't know who this was, to be honest with you. Maybe there was like an intern or like a SEGA employee or something who said, this is going to be the best controlling monkey ball game
yeah.
to date. If someone could like, quote that so I don't like,
Yeah,
whatever.
it was almost exactly that. It was the best feeling monkey ball game
Yeah,
today.
yeah.
Actually, I'll pull it up.
I just want to say, whoever you are, why would you say that? Why would you say that?
Sega's CEO had like a gun pointed at his head.
Me and Jeff immediately knew once that was posted that was gonna be false. We just knew like instantly.
It gave me a little hope.
There's just no chance.
Well, I would say it's an improvement. Asterisk, right?
It's an improvement, but like, I don't know.
It's not the best feeling monkey ball game.
Yeah, well,
you could tell just from the footage
all the
before
time.
release that it wasn't going to be the best controlling. Like, you could already tell it was like Banana Mania adjacent.
I just think if all the characters played like Baby with the fast camera setting.
Okay, best feeling monkey ball yet, and I don't know this individual. I don't know who they are. I don't know what they work for, but it's like, come on.
I don't know. It would help, but like, I don't know. The stages are just kind of boring. It was a bit of a slog playing the game. I'm like, and I was playing with a GameCube controller, which helped quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you had like every advantage at your disposal, like the GameCube controller, the right character, the right settings. Yeah. And you still like.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. And the stages, they just weren't that interesting to me. I really like there was a couple pretty good ones. I was like, okay, that's fun. But it's when you're in the air, you can't do too much movement. So I can't do like some crazy like stage rotation in the air to catch myself.
I know it's really stupid because like if you're Jenny from Mississippi, whatever, you're not gonna know to pick whatever character. You're just gonna pick Mimi, whatever character you want to play as, and then you're gonna be like, wow, this game sucks.
You know what I liked? Yeah, and I have to imagine maybe Sega left this off because they were like, oh, well, speedrunners will turn it off or whatever. But I actually like turning on the instant replay mode like the classic Monkey Ball games. I thought that was fun because I would die. And I'm like, man, I was so close. I want to see that. And then it would just like respawn me. I'm like, no, I want to see that. And I had to go into the settings. And I was like, oh, there's a setting for that. And I turned it back on. And I was like, okay, that's kind of sick.
It's nice that they at least included it in the settings. But I'm surprised it wasn't in there to begin with.
I think one thing that's really telling is that in Banana Mania, that text box that comes up whenever you die 5 times, that's still in the game. You have to manually shut that off.
Yeah, that was kind of annoying. Ninja was like, yeah, you should turn that off. I'm like, next time. And I died 5 times in a row and it popped up. I'm like, oh my goodness. The graphics are alright.
Yeah, we can talk about let's talk about the positives. We've talked a lot about the negatives. Let's actually just have a little section for the positives. So let's each go around and say one thing we liked about this game. All right, how's that? I will not steal Will's. I will use my own. I will say I think the soundtrack was actually pretty good. I'm not gonna say it's like the best. I like the music in this game. I think it is enjoyable to listen to. I think people disagree with me on this in this Discord, and that's fine. But I actually got some enjoyment out of some of the songs in this game. There's mine.
Mine is I like that the EX mode is just like a remixed version of the original themes. I like that even the game like Touch and Roll kind of had like that progressive day and night cycles is kind of almost is like that. Like I'm sure it's just them saving resources, but I always like when games do stuff like that. It's kind of cute in my opinion. Also, I like the unlockable balls you get for your character when you beat the EX versions of like the really hard worlds.
Yeah. I like the customization. I think the customization is a cool idea. I enjoy it.
Yeah, that's one of the things I like that they few new things that like modern Monkey Balls added that I think is like a really good idea.
I like that. I think that like I mentioned, I like the graphics. Like I think the performance is all right.
It's kind of spotty sometimes.
It can be spotty, but not really where it matters for me. Like I'm like, oh, it just hitched really bad when it like loaded the level, but I'm like, whatever. When I'm actually in the game, it's like it seems to be decently optimized, which I was a little scared of when I heard that it was going to be a Switch exclusive. I was like, oh god, it's going to look like trash. But no, it's like whatever. Yep.
Yeah, I guess my positive, I guess I'll say, I think the like level backgrounds look a lot better than they have since Banana Blitz. Like there's a lot more detail going on.
Oh yeah, they're pretty detailed. Yeah, I'm looking at some gameplay right now.
Yeah, I will unfortunately caveat and say that it's still not what 1 and 2 had going on, especially 2. I will say mainly, but like yeah, I mean it's a step in the right direction, which is like I think you can say a lot of things about Rumble. A lot of steps in the right direction, but we're just not there yet.
I think that they put a lot of effort into the theming, and I like the themes. I thought that they were pretty cool.
Yeah, they all look pretty nice, especially like that space one with like the kind of like I'm kind of going off like rough memory, but there's like neon kind of like floors. I don't know. I thought that looked really cool. That world.
That has a lot of the like really good level design as well.
Yeah. From what I've seen too, I know what you mean.
Those are pretty sick.
Yeah, I gave. I praised the Spindash and the level design and difficulty of some of the levels already, but I guess one more positive I'll give is there's a couple different, we haven't touched on it yet, but there's a couple different modes, like bonus modes that they've added. And most of them are kind of like mid. There's the first person challenge where you can only it's like you're playing as the monkey, and I've tried it a little bit. It's not anything special. There's a super speed challenge.
I've not tried the first person yet.
Which is just kind of like weird. They're all just like gimmicks that you try for a couple levels and you stop. But
yeah, it's fun bonuses.
The best one is the no miss challenge, where you play all 200 levels without losing a life. 2 people have done it in the game. 2 people ever. And
That's
I think this mode is only a month or a couple months old, but it is like ridiculously hard, and it's the thing I'm.
Yeah, come on, Ninja.
It's the thing that we're kind of doing. Me and Jeff have tried it, and Ninja.
Yeah, it's fun
a little bit.
I actually like that mode.
It's what I'm doing with it right now, and so that's the final thing I'm doing with that game after, I guess, playing all the other content. So that's I've had some fun with that. It's like a challenge. It's like an ultra challenge mode, but it would be nice if it was like for each individual world.
In all honesty, that is my favorite part of the entire game, and I get a lot of enjoyment out of that mode. And I wish there was a way to make the lives like more than 1, because I think if you could just do 3 lives, it would be really good.
That's kind of what I'm saying, is that like a lot of the positives that we're bringing up, we're like they seem like they were pretty, like we bring them up, we're like, yeah, I'm sure it wasn't that much work, it's nothing like huge, but that's like what we want. It's like the challenge mode, they kind of prove that they can already do it with the 1 life mode. It's like, okay, well there you go, just make it 3.
Just literally make it the 1 life mode, except when you grab bananas you can get a new life or something. That is all you need to do.
Yeah, you can count up 100 bananas.
I mean, I'll say it in. There should be a score system for it to be really get that replayability, but that also takes like no work. I'm gonna be honest. You program some numbers, okay? Like it's not a big deal.
Yeah, I will say I agree it's the best mode for the reasons listed, but the one thing though that is unforgivable is that in the menu they show a lives counter in the menu, but not in the fucking game. Really? There's a lives icon on the little like image for the no lives mode. So like you could have added one. You could have added lives. It's like they're teasing the old fans. Yeah, it's like they're mocking me personally.
Ninja, they're after you. They're after you specifically.
I mean, I'm sure young people are confused. They're like, what does this mean?
I think the fact that this game is getting any post-launch support like does make me hopeful that maybe they'll do something about this, but we'll see, because we're like, when did the game come out again? Oh, it's coming out in 2 weeks, guys. That's why we're covering it.
Oh yeah.
But look, they release games often enough to just change it up and fix things without fixing. They don't fix major things in updates. So I wouldn't hold out hope for that. They're not going to fix the game. They're going to wait till they release a new game in 2 years. That's what they have at least done recently.
We all bought Banana Mania.
Yeah, it's just like, I'm surprised that they've added like game modes like the 1 life challenge at all. That's like more than I would have expected. Like, hey, you guys are almost there. Just give us a little challenge, please. Maybe they're kind of afraid of like how they would structure like an easy, medium, hard type deal.
I don't know. By trying.
I don't care.
It's not that hard.
Just give us an ultimate. Just give us an ultimate.
Dude,
We're asking for the bare minimum.
Least amount of effort, and it's the
bare
most fun
minimum.
one they could have had.
The bare minimum. Just give us the bare minimum. Yeah, I want to watch you all do a one life run. I won't be able to do
whatever.
Try.
I don't know. I don't think I have too much else to add. I would say that the game is extremely 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we should all give rankings. That's a good idea.
Because the thing is, my casual experience with the game wasn't even that bad. Like, I had an overall pretty positive time. It just feels like Sega is purposely like neutering the game in ways that it really doesn't need to be. Like, if they just added even like a couple small changes, it would be so much better. It would be so much better. Like, as is, I'd say my playthrough was like a 6. Like, it was fine. Like, you know, like I enjoyed it. I had fun playing the later levels, especially some like the really BS ones. Like, those are fun. But the thing is, like, I have no reason to return to it. And to me, that is a huge core aspect of Monkey Ball is the replayability, the ability to return and keep playing
It's
it.
an
Like, even something
insanely
as simple as like,
Yeah.
hey guys, we add the ultimate mode. So if you can beat all the levels without, you know, like maybe like free lives, whatever. Like, even like the one life mode is pretty close, but obviously, you know, having like even a free life mode could be kind of cool.
Or just like adjustable lives in general, like how 2 had it.
Oh, that would be cool. Yeah, like I would say the replayability is the only reason why, like, I would say most people are even still talking about Monkey Ball, even though 1 and 2 are kind of the ones that people.
Yeah, like I don't know. I still play 1 and 2, and I've put like literally thousands of hours into those games. I still enjoy playing them every now and then, just because there's a reason to. You know, I don't know.
Yeah, well, yeah, because again, like the score system, like there's always that incentive, like, oh, I can do a little bit better than last time I played this, you know, even if you've like explored all the content.
Yeah, like even just getting the master in Monkey Ball 1 is still super hard. Like, I still feel rewarded doing that. You know, I've done it a few times now.
Yeah, no, seriously.
What would you give Banana Mania as a score, and then also this game? Like, what increase is it?
Banana Mania is like a 3. Banana Mania is like a 3 out of 10.
Banana Mania for me was like a 5, right down the middle.
Yeah, it's like a 4 for me. Like, I feel like the biggest issue is just the fact that the physics were not made for the levels at all, and it just made it really kind of miserable. On top of just everything else wrong with the game.
It was very much Tony Hawk HD, where it just stripped out everything except the levels.
Yeah, it kind of is like that, yeah.
Well, it's is there anything like you especially miss from Mania? Because I know they did. Rumble doesn't have some of the modes like Dark Banana mode, which was kind of fun.
I really miss those modes. That was the best part of Mania.
But other than that, it seems like a across-the-board improvement.
I missed the level design from Mania, if that counts.
I don't really. I really think that Rumble is better.
Yeah, it does that count?
But okay, you're talking about the older ones. Yeah, I see. I'd say 5 to 7. I'd agree with Will for me.
Right down the middle for me. It's like a 5. Rumble, I put it like a 7. I'm like, okay, you guys are getting there. Now we just need to bring the good parts of Banana Mania over.
Exactly.
It's okay, guys. In 4
Yeah.
games, they'll make a perfect 10 out of 10. If they even get that far, but, you know, that's to be seen.
I doubt that still.
In 4 games. Does Banana Mania on PC count as one of them? I mean, Banana Rumble. Oh my god, these names drive me crazy. You know how hard it is to carry a conversation?
I know, seriously.
You know how many times in like our messages we just call it simply Rumble because there's no other way to like coherently talk about these games?
Do we think they're gonna put Monkey Ball 1 and 2 on GameCube NSO?
I would love for them to do that because that means people could finally know what good games are like. I mean,
Yeah, if they do that, it'll destroy the modern Monkey Ball franchise because people will actually have access to the good games. They'll have a reference point.
Even just Monkey Ball 1 on NSO would be so huge, in my opinion. That'd be insane.
Yeah, like I've said this before, just such a shame. It's such a shame that the first 2 games are literally locked on 20-year-old hardware, and like the only way to access them is if you're like a gamer nerd and you have like retro gaming setups. You have like a, you know, Wii or GameCube and the controllers and the memory card and everything. So inaccessible.
Yeah, so, you know, I don't really have much more to add myself.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Basically,
yeah.
my conclusion is like, Sega, you're not watching this. I know you're not watching this, but like,
No
just-
way.
Dude, what if
We're all on the blacklist. I'm just gonna say that right now. Like, Sega hates us.
If John Sega is watching this on a like a pirated USB stick in the Sega offices or whatever, just add challenge mode, then we'll all shut up.
you look in the comment section, it's like Sega US official is like in the comment section. They're like, we're always listening.
We're always listening to feedback.
Like Beckett's on my that dude's on the whitelist. He gets access to everything.
He gets
He's the
access.
most positive.
Would it be better or worse if they listened and like like, and just still ignored all of our feedback anyway. Then you know that there's no hope.
I mean, that's basically what happened with that one Google Doc they sent out we were talking about earlier.
That's
the
true.
Banana Media one,
That's
but it-
honestly true.
I guess the only thing they,
Maybe it's to give us like a false sense of choice.
yeah, which is one
The
thing I
illusion
missed.
of
I don't know.
choice.
Yeah, the
Banana Blitz or
illusion.
Banana Blitz.
I'm excited for Super Monkey Ball Banana Peel for Apple TV. That's gonna come out in like 2 weeks probably after we make
That was
this.
gonna be a Netflix game.
Ew, they would make it a Netflix game.
That would be so good. Oh my god.
I honestly wish they had an
Netflix.
app again, like they had mobile games.
They kind of do. It's called Apple. They call it Apple Games.
Netflix game.
Do they actually have a way to end this? Trying to make a way to end this podcast.
My way to end this, I do want to give like a little. I guess it's kind of repeating what I talked about in my video. Here's the thing. Our criticisms today were not out of hatred. We want to see the series succeed. We want the games to be better. Like I think there's like this kind of perception, not just in the Monkey Ball community, but like Pokemon, right? I see this all the time, that criticism is inherently a bad thing. I don't think criticism is a bad thing. Now I agree if it, it should be given constructively, which is why I, in this video and in my video, try to say like, look, the main criticism today, right, was the 1-ups and stuff like that. We don't care if you want to play on easy mode. Again, our main thing is we literally just want our play style to be represented. That's it. If you enjoy Monkey Ball for what it is, look, I accept that, and we're not criticizing you. We're criticizing SEGA. That's kind of just what I want to say, because I feel like, not just with Monkey Ball, like, Pokemon is like a big, like, you can't say anything negative about Pokemon, and it's like, as criticism is something that can be used to make something better, and I think that's something you need to keep in mind if you're a fan of this game. That's just my opinion.
So anyway, Banana Rumble. Just kidding.
Yeah, that game sucks.
Right as I was gonna say, like, we care about Super Monkey Ball, and Greg just.
Guys, we care about how much Banana Rumble sucks. This game's so bad. Nah, the thing is, it is all our opinion. We are all jaded Monkey Ball 1 and 2 players, so like, you gotta take everything we say for a grain of salt.
In like 2
regardless.
years, our next
Yeah.
episode comes out. Today we are talking about Super Monkey Ball Banana Mayhem.
All right, okay.
Another step in the right direction.
Yeah, should we say our goodbyes? Goodbye.
Yeah. Goodbye.
Bye.
See you next time. See you next time.